as we've grown, and some of this is learned by, sometimes growth is painful.
Mm,
We didn't all start out to be business leaders or
mm,
business owners. They don't teach it anything like that to you in optometry school.
mm.
But probably the biggest thing as we've grown is being able to maintain and continue to strengthen and build a culture.
Welcome to the Maven Marketing Podcast. Today is Maven Monday. I'm your host, Brandon Welch, and I'm joined by the one and only Dr. Steve Rice,
Good morning.
my mentor, my friend, my fellow Rotarian, my CEO mastermind, and honestly, just sincerely, my role model.
I'll stop
And
it.
so much goodness has come from even our short time working together, 4 or 5 years now, and I'm really excited for me. So thank you for being here, but I'm also excited for our audience because I think if we can pull out even a tiny bit of what you've been able to do and some of the things you've upheld in your company, it'll be extremely valuable. So um, generally, today is about values and building a legacy company. I'm talking company that doesn't just make money, but does phenomenal things for your community, builds phenomenal things for the people that work for you. And so if you have ever woke up and been like, you know, I've got a great business, I make good money, but I want something more, I know that today's episode is going to be valuable and impactful for you. And so what do you have to say for yourself?
That's man. I hope I don't let people down here. That's setting me up
Uh,
pretty tall. But um,
I-
where do you want to start?
Give us your life story in 30 seconds.
That would be hard to do because I'm an old
Nate, the
guy.
camera guy, is going to time you. So,
Okay.
uh,
Well, I would say to start, I'm a normal guy that came from a loving family, and I've been very blessed and fortunate
mm,
to have a lot of decisions along the way be good decisions.
mm,
And I'm an optometrist. We have 5 locations. We
mm,
have 13 docs.
mm,
My son, my daughter, and my daughter-in-law are all docs and in the practice.
mm,
Family is very important to me.
mm.
Community and being a part of the community is very important to me. So,
So the Vision Clinic
mhm,
is the name of the company.
correct.
56 years in business, and you came along somewhere
About 20 years in,
20 years in. Okay, so you've been there just over 34,
35
35
years.
years. Okay. And you've gone through a lot of change. You came in, you were the second doctor that was hired, or third?
I came in as the fourth partner, but the two senior partners
Mm,
were essentially getting ready to leave.
mm,
So it was Dr. Lynn Herndon and I were
mm,
the two partners that kind of started off with one location
mm.
and just continued to
Yeah.
grow. Yeah.
So um, I have heard the story lots and lots of times, but you have gone through acquisition, dealing with partners entering, dealing with partners exiting, dealing with family expansion, dealing with holding a vision. And those are all things I want to talk to you about today. But probably the biggest and the thing that everybody listening could just learn so much from you on is building what I call a values-based business. And there was a grand conclusion I had after doing marketing, gosh, probably 4 or 5 years, and that is that the best companies don't need to advertise to get business. Advertising will make them grow faster, but the best companies and the truly successful ones start with vision, values, and vows. And the stronger your vision, values, and vows, the more untouchable you are for your market. And so it's not just about going in to work to sell something, make something, deliver a product or service. It's about a world you're trying to create. And a little story, Steve and I are in Rotary together, Rotary International. Shout out to our Southeast Rotary friends. And I think that's how we originally got in contact. But just I've been in the community a long time. I've seen your company, but when we started to get to know you and the heart of the business owner, and kind of talking to my media friends here, the most important thing you can do if you wish to help somebody grow their company is to get inside the heart of that company. some entrepreneurs uh, have long forgotten that, or don't get asked that question often. But within 4 minutes of meeting you, it was extremely obvious what the heart for your company is and the heart for your community. And I would call that, or what we call that in the Maven method, is a vision. What world are you trying to create? And I can articulate it to my understanding. But Vision Clinic, what is the world that you're trying to create that maybe is different than the category? Because you think optometrist, you think lens crafters, you think, you know, Pearl Optical, you think any of these big box national retailers, and what you have is so different from that. And how would you describe that?
Well, I think at the heart of it, any decision we make is it right and best for our patient?
Hmm.
And our patient, we're not transactional. We're about relationship,
Hmm.
and our goal is to take great care of not only the patient's vision,
Hmm.
but a lot of times people forget that the eyes are the window to the rest of the body. And so we do a lot of medical optometry,
Hmm.
so I've had literally patients I still see 35 years later,
Hmm.
from the first day that I started practice, and that means a lot to me. And I
Hmm.
think when you look at kind of what we do, we have the ability to do that,
Hmm.
which is very unique. And one of the reasons I think those decisions I told you kind of you make as you go through life when I was trying to decide what I wanted to do, the reason I wanted to do optometry is because you could have those relationships, make an
Hmm.
impact on people, and be a part of the community.
Yeah.
Because that's just kind of in my DNA.
Wow. So your industry lives in kind of a balance between retail and service, and then medical service at that, which is kind of unique. And I think that's what gives you such a insight into maybe what various people in our audience might be talking about or thinking about on a daily basis. But a lot of, dare I say, people you've worked with over the years or people you've been around don't have that drive behind um, what you call patient care, what you call what's best for the patient, and their businesses, not that they're bad people or anything like that, but they don't thrive like yours does, and they certainly don't. Um, the market does not happily pay them probably to the level that you've earned. What would you say that was the difference? Like, just you knew you wanted to help people, but your industry continues to go transaction, 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 and buy one get one, and this big, coupon driven um, commoditization that happens with eye care. What when the money probably was easier to grab at that point? What was it that kept you focused on this bigger thing, which is quality and patient outcome? And just real quick, when we talk about vision and values and vows, vision is what do you see? Steve sees a better world for patients. Values is we will never do this, or we will always do this no matter what. And things I've seen Steve never do uh, is buy stock with cheaper products with maybe overseas or compromised products. Even though the public would buy them, he doesn't stock them. I've seen him invest obscene amounts of money in technology, in better doctors, in better people, in better locations for the heart of that vision. So the values are what will you do, what will you not do, and then the vows are like just literally what you promise to your customers. And so, and with that, the I can say as a patient, the vision clinic experience is amazing. Um, but the money grab would have been easy, right? It would have been a lot easier to go that transactional route, and many of your colleagues have been approached by private equity and sold out. And what do you say about all that? Because it's always interesting to me because somebody who's really got the world by the tail could just take the money and run.
Wish I had the world by the tail, but I think my mom used to say, "Be true to yourself."
Mm.
And I think that, when you look at something, I like looking long term. I think as a
Mm.
leader, it's our job as leaders to look 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down
Mm.
the road. What is it that you want?
Mm.
Um, and I think the other piece is that, fortunately, I learned a long time ago that to be successful, you need to surround yourself with successful people
Mm.
and people that not only that you don't want people that are exact same thinking as you because then you'll get in a rut, right? You want
Mm.
people to challenge you, but you also want to be around people that have similar kind of goals and mindset, and that
Mm,
is I've been very blessed to be part of a group called Vision Source, and Vision Source is independent private practice optometry, and our
yeah.
goal is to, be the best providers of eye care that you can be.
Mm,
We just don't believe, and I don't believe that transactional is the best way to do that.
mm,
And so I just think that the best way to know a patient
mm.
is to know and learn and understand where they're coming from and what their needs are. And
Yeah.
so, one of the things as doctors we do, the first thing is chief complaint.
Mm.
Why are you here? Well, sometimes you have to dig to get through exactly why they're
But
there.
that doesn't happen in your industry. There's a lot of, I can think of the optometry places I went before, and it's in out, flip the little, what do they call those?
Phoropter.
Phoropters. Yeah. You flip the phoropter, and they say, "Oh, here's your script," and you walk out and you buy some glasses and you leave.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing, you're saying that the way you do that practice is rare, I think, to your industry as a whole, and it's rare certainly for our community. But there are nationwide, you connected with other people that had the same values.
Leaders, and so we always want to be on the front edge, leading edge of technology
Mm,
because there are lots of ways to look at things,
mm,
and I think one of the things that we have done years and years ago is embrace change
mm.
to the point sometimes my staff is like, "Bring me one more new thing, and you're going to be in trouble."
I know this to be true as the marketing guy. Hey, I got another thing. Yeah, I
Yeah,
know that ad. We did
yeah,
make an ad
yeah.
for this. Yeah,
Brandon
yeah.
is very well aware of how that works, but
It's like okay,
But
yeah.
but that allows us, and I think our MO and our patients understand that, we're gonna do everything we can to make it accessible to them. They don't have to
Mm.
go somewhere else to get some new technology.
So I've worked with a lot of entrepreneurs over the years that have shiny object syndrome, and we have a code around here. It's like SOS, right? Shiny object syndrome,
Mm,
and those I've learned are the ones that I probably shouldn't work with because what we build is long term understanding and long term bonds with the communities that our clients are in. And generally, somebody who's bouncing around and always has a new thing for the sake of a new thing um, is not a business that it can consistently grow, at least with my method. But you do these things out of like this hell bent. Oh my gosh, there's something new. We have to rush and bring it to our community or our patients, and I think that's so cool. So quick difference, like just a observation I had while we were sitting here talking is just you can have shiny object syndrome, or you can have like hell bent on my customer's best life syndrome, and you certainly have the latter. Um, but break that down. Answer to the question. And by the way, we didn't rehearse this. I have no idea what he's going to say. But
uh-oh.
I think that's key, and it's something we may not often think about. You may be very rare and alone in your pursuit of that better life for your customer. And I promise you, working with thousands of business owners, that is a rare thing. And if you can uncover it, have the courage to bring that to the world. But there are probably people like you in other communities. And that's what you found through Vision Source, right?
Mhm.
I'm familiar with the Vision Source, so I kind of know what he's talking about. But it's just essentially a group of like minded independent healthcare providers. Um, Speaking of independent,
Mhm.
that's not so easy in your world. That's harder and harder, right?
Well, it is in, I think, not only our world, but in medical and just
Mm,
small business. We were at a meeting this morning,
mm, yes, we were.
and I don't know that I should talk specifics, but an industry that I never even thought private equity would be a part of, a pretty big industry that private equity is a part of. And so, anyway, that is something that has changed a lot through the years. And
Mm,
one of my roles is in the Vision Source world, I'm an administrator. So I work with a lot of other private practitioners. And,
mm,
we talk about encouraging plagiarism. Don't reinvent the wheel. If somebody's come up with something awesome, let's do that. But um, I am a strong believer in the best patient care is between the doctor and the patient.
mm,
And I think the great thing about being independent is the buck stops with you.
yeah,
And when you are venture capital, private equity purchased, that isn't always the case. There's somebody
yeah.
in the middle there, or if you're in a corporate setting or whatever.
Shareholders have
Um,
expectations. Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
and so that's why I'm fiercely independent on that side of things. I just and it kind of destroys me a little bit in my
Mm.
soul when one of my colleagues sells to private equity, and there are lots of different reasons why, and sometimes it's a good thing for everybody. But anyway,
Uh,
that's independent is
I happen to know you've been faced with that shiny pot of gold more than a time or two, and it's not no, it's a hell no, right?
exactly. Now,
um,
now while I'm
but
in charge.
speaking of fiercely independent, something y'all should know about Steve. How many years has it been since you've been in a Walmart? So think about that for a second. I just
Right.
want to tell you, I know a lot of people that are like, yeah, local business, yeah, small business, yeah, entrepreneur. You're buying your groceries from Walmart, but not Steve Rice, and
No.
not anybody Steve Rice ever puts a seal of approval on. Um, when did you stop doing business with Walmart? When did you stop shopping at Walmart for groceries?
Well, first of all, the good news is that I don't do much shopping, so it's not that hard. But so when I was a kid, I went to 13 different schools before I graduated high school, so we moved all over the
Kicked you
place,
out of every one of them,
every
yeah.
one of them. Yeah. And what I saw in small communities that Walmart would come in and it would be kind of the shiny new thing,
Mm-hmm.
but then small businesses would be basically taken out of the picture. And I had
Mm-hmm.
a great uncle that had a small milling and lumber company
Mm,
in a town, and Walmart came in and took a lot of their business.
mm,
And as I kind of started to realize what was going on, I was probably in my teens. It's like they would come in, destroy the small businesses, and then they would go leave that building, build another building. Now you've got this atrocity of a building sitting in a small
mm,
community, and they've hurt the small business. And I'm like, that just doesn't seem right. I think it certainly didn't start out to be like that. Sam
mm,
Walton didn't, I don't think, have that concept. But so as a small business guy, and that's always what I wanted to do. I come from a family that I would say they're entrepreneurs by in spirit and heart, but so I just didn't think that was right. So I just a long time ago said I'm never going to go to Walmart, so I
So,
haven't.
I'm serious. Like, he's polite about it, but there's been a couple times where I'm like, I'll run to Walmart and get that. And he's like, yeah, we can figure it another way. Yeah. We cooked a dinner a few weeks ago, and I wasn't even thinking. I was like, let's go to Sam's Club and grab some stuff. And he's like, okay, I don't have a car. He got anxious. He got flat out nervous. I was asking him to go against his religion, but in all seriousness, I mean that's a real thing for him. I've seen it. It's a joke. It's a running joke.
My staff gives me a hard time.
I think I
If
got
I
you.
was seen in a Walmart, literally anybody in a three-state area would like be pointing
I
me
think
out.
you would just disintegrate. I think you would just catch on fire on the spot. But
Yeah.
um, in all seriousness, though, that on the question, how do you stay so focused on your vision and values? I think anybody listening right now, you have an origin story. Steve's origin story, or in part, is that experience with big box coming in and putting his small business under, and that we call that in the Maven marketer, we call that your pissed off moment. That's a pissed off moment. And whenever I'm trying to get the heart of a business owner out, and our job is to understand what is special and what actually makes them a real living, breathing, authentic, better solution for a client or for the world. Like when I'm trying to write ads or I'm trying to grow a business, that's where we start. And the origin story is the thing we're always trying to get out. And sometimes it takes hours to do that. I don't think it took hours for you, but but I guess I would say if you're sitting here going, man, I'm a medium player in my category. I want to steal more market share. Why is this so hard? Why am I losing to competitors? Why do I only have a 30-40% close rate or lower? I'm telling you, people want to deal with people, and stories are the fastest way to bond with people and to make them see you as real instead of some other, you know, empty big box transactional corporate machine, right? Even if you are a local business. So I would encourage you to say, what is your origin story? If you're listening, Steve has one. We all have many, but have the courage that is behind Dr. Rice to live on that and build a company off that. And so, what else would you say, just kind of going through about your experience dealing with partners? Because um, it's it's easier to do that when you're the only one that has stake in the game. But you've had to split the ownership over the years with other people, or that's just been the scenario. When you're the guy that's hell bent on that and they're not as hell bent, what is your advice for leading through that change and holding to some of those values?
Well, I think again, lucky on the decision front, right? And
Mm,
so the great news is that all of my partners, current and former, were all very like-minded.
mm,
And
there's
so,
a lesson there. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think you want to bring in people that your mission is clear, your heart is clear,
Yeah.
and so there's not. That doesn't mean there aren't disagreements, but I think at the end of the day, if you say, "Hey, we want to do what's right for the patient, we want to create
Mm,
relationships, we want to be a part of the community," then you're going
mm.
to have similar, kind of folks with you. So
Wow. Yeah.
I've been lucky on that front.
That comes in choosing the right partners, though,
It
and
does.
obsessing
Bringing in the
over
right
are you
people.
the should we enter a business deal together? It's like a marriage, right?
Yep,
If you were married to somebody who had a different value system than you, that does not end well, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's a key takeaway. Like, choose your partners wisely. I was consulting a client yesterday who got some money flashed in front of him, and somebody wants to buy into his company, and he knows this. I'm not saying I had to preach to him, but I was like, dude, that'll never work. You'll never be happy with that. And most partnerships aren't, because the reason they get into partnership has to do with some sort of financial leverage that they either have together, or one of them has the money and one of them has the talent, and they don't bond. Going back to the Maven method, they don't bond on values. What world are we trying to create? What will we always do no matter what? What will we never do no matter what? And that's where all good things flow. And so, learning from Steve, learning from some situations I've seen play out in not so great ways, start there. And if you are trying to create the same thing together, then you might have synergy as partnerships, but that's rare, right? You've seen some other partnerships not go so well, I bet.
Yes.
I'm
I'm
not,
sure. I'm sure
I'm not-
all of us have
yeah,
for sure. So.
yeah. Anything you would add to that?
No, I mean, I think communication and clarity are key to success is one of the things we say. So we try
Mm,
to make sure there aren't surprises. We want to, try to vet things as a leader. Sometimes you've got a lot of things that you're doing behind the scenes, and a
mm,
lot of decisions are made with multiple inputs. And when you bring it to, other owners and partners, sometimes,
mm.
it's a little tricky
Yeah,
on getting them to understand kind of again, the vision.
yeah,
But there's got to be a lot of trust. Trust is an important part of
yeah,
a partnership, I think, which is true with patients,
yeah.
and it's true with our staff. I mean, one of the things I think that has contributed to our success through the years is that, kind of like you said, it's a marriage. When Dr. Hernan and I first started, and we did all the hiring and we did all the HR, we did everything.
Yeah.
I think there were 8 employees.
Mm.
We used to say that, you coming to work for us and with us, it's kind of like family, because you're spending just as much time with us as maybe more
It's
than
true.
with your family. And
Yeah.
so we wanted people that, were platinum hearts,
Mm.
solid,
That's a great
solid
term.
people. And,
Hey, the camera guy, you should write that down. You have a platinum heart. I
um,
need your platinum heart card.
yeah, need a platinum heart card. And it's, that's harder to find, to be very honest with you. We've talked about that in some of our groups. It's just,
Absolutely.
I don't know what's going on in the world, but, anyway, so I think that, communication and clarity and being honest and trying to let everybody know where we're going and why we're doing it. We start with the why. Many
Mm,
times when we got something new, it's like, what's in it for me, and
mm,
what's the why? Because I think once you are trying to, especially trying to implement something new,
mm,
if you just come in and say, "Okay, I got this great thing. This is what we're going to do.
mm,
Everybody jump behind me. Let's go." What I have learned is that doesn't work very well.
mm.
Either I'm not that persuasive,
This is gold, folks.
or so what we've learned through the years is to have, get key people, managers, owners, partners, doctors, whoever,
Mm,
all on the same page before we kind of start taking it out to the group.
mm.
So,
Y'all need to rewind that. You need to listen to that. There was there's some humility and struggle in
I
there,
don't
but
even remember what I
that
said.
was
So.
wise. First of all, I don't know if you realize what you just did, but that was a value statement in and of itself. You hear the term heart of gold a lot. to have a strong vision means you have a higher standard. And so platinum heart. That I've never heard that. I've never heard you say that. Write that down. And but the other thing you just so eloquently espoused there was just get your key stakeholders on board with a bigger belief before you go start doing top down. And I think we think of our job as managers and leaders, and we look around what's culturally or corporately acceptable, and we say, "I'm in charge now. Go do this." And the reason that's rare, in my experience, is that a new generation has seen a generation or two before them. That doesn't lead to happiness and fulfillment near as much as I think we would like to have been. So I think we're all calling us, meaning millennials, and I'm a very old soul, so I'm a very old millennial. But Nate, the camera guy, is calling BS on just that downward chain of command, and they're going, "Why? What's the purpose?" And that has everything to do with the vision and the values you built with your business. And it should be obvious to you by now, but the thing that Vision Clinic has built, and you have so many awesome people that work for you, and so many people I'm proud to know and work with. But what they've built is phenomenally bigger than the average practice. In a town where that's actually really hard to do, like an independent medical practice, I think is tough anyway. It's tougher by the day. It's especially tough in this town. Not to go into details, but it's extremely tough in this town because there's two big hospital systems that try to keep that from happening. And just the general fight of being a small business is hard anyway. And I would say, just for those who aren't aware of this, not to go into any particulars, but every practice I've seen, you're probably 5, 6, 7 times bigger than that. You continue to grow, and that's not. I know you don't like that. I know you're probably wanting to like shrink because you're one of the most humble people I know. But the connection there, that strong vision, that strong, dang it, it's going to be this way for the betterment of our customers, for a bigger outcome. I think that has so much to do with why you've been successful and why you continue to be an anomaly in your category. So, would you agree with that?
I've been called an anomaly. I don't know if it's a positive thing. Well, that's nice
Yeah,
of you to say.
just own it. So, I didn't bring you here to do that to you, but it's just the truth. So,
Well, appreciate
um,
that.
so you have just under 100 employees now. What would you say has been different as you've grown through employees? Because you
Wow.
started with what, 4 or 5, probably
8.
8. Okay.
Yep. 8. As we've grown, and some of this is learned by, sometimes growth is painful.
Mm,
We didn't all start out to be business leaders or
mm,
business owners. They don't teach it anything like that to you in optometry school.
mm,
But probably the biggest thing as we've grown is being able to maintain and continue to strengthen and build a culture.
mm,
So one of the greatest compliments that we get
mm,
is if a patient comes in, we don't know them, they come back and they say, "Gosh, as soon as I walked in, I could tell
mm.
that you guys care. This is different."
Yeah.
Or if I'm out in the community and someone says that's really what we're striving
Mm.
to get.
That's the proof you're doing it right.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have said for 35 years, if you're happy, tell everybody you know. If you're not, please come back and tell me. I can't make it
Don't we all
better
want that?
unless you tell me. And so when people do, most people won't say anything.
Hmm.
They'll be unhappy. You know the thing. If you're unhappy, they go out and tell 10 people,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
That
yeah.
whole thing.
I think the
Um,
research actually is 17 by the time it
yeah.
multiplies. But
So we
yeah.
don't want that.
Hmm.
And so when patients come in and they're really sheepish, it's like, man, it's like, thank you so much
Mm,
because now we can learn from that.
mm,
And I think that you always strive to be your best, but that culture, that feeling that, hey, you're home. We're here to take care of you. We do care about you. We care about your family. I've been very fortunate to see multiple generations
mm,
of folks. It's not uncommon. I saw somebody when they were 6, and now I see their 6-year-old
mm.
granddaughter, or something like that. It's just like crazy.
You don't look that old.
Yeah. But what are you drinking over there? But anyway, that's pretty awesome. I
That's
mean,
amazing. Yeah.
and that's again just fortunate with the business that we're in, but I feel like we have built that, and Um, and I hope to continue to do that.
Mm.
I hope that the docs that we brought on and that they and the people that have surrounded ourselves with in management, which
Mm.
if you would have said something about management, I'm like,
Yeah.
that sounds bureaucratic. That's like as far away from independence as you could be. So
Mm.
that took some time, learning and understanding the importance of an SOP. It's like,
Oh,
what's an
wow.
SOP?
Mm.
Standard operating procedure. How important is that?
That was counterintuitive to somebody who
Oh
has,
my gosh,
yeah.
100% was. But you also realize that, you've got different practices at different locations and
Mm.
you can't be there.
Mm.
So you have to get, people that think and act and believe in the things that you do to be able to, have that everywhere. And so that's probably the biggest challenge, honestly, is the culture piece. And
Mm.
we actually have someone that is like, if you'd have told me 20 years ago, you're going to have an HR person. It's like, what are you crazy? But as we've gotten bigger, and especially through COVID,
Mm.
holy, if we didn't have our HR person, I don't know how we would have survived because it was not easy. But we actually have somebody now, Mindy, who is our people and culture
Wow.
person. So she does HR, but that's so important to us
Mm.
because I think that that's what keeps us cohesive, and you should be able to feel the same experience. It doesn't matter if you go to our office in Ozark or Nix or Branson or Springfield,
Yeah.
that same feeling. So I don't remember what the question was.
The the question was, how does it change through 100 people? And what I heard
Oh,
is that you have to realize that your skill set as a leader of an 8-man crew has to get phenomenally different and better with 20, 40, 80, now almost 100 people. I heard that you have to be willing to do some things that are counterintuitive, including, people that lead with vision and have such a passion. Like the idea of putting that passion in a box and putting boundaries around it just seems like agonizing because you're like, oh, you're killing the magic. But to sustain the magic, you have to boil it down, right? There's an excellence there. And then more what I heard than anything is just humility as a leader and surrounding yourself with those people that have figured it out before you, or you're subjecting your ego to be willing to them have help you out. And I've learned so much from you over the years watching that. So that is so cool. Rewind that too. Play it on half speed. Pull over. Get your legal pad out. There's some platinum in them words right there. But speaking of adding people, you have now 3 family members. Not. First of all, I want to say this: you have one of the most awesome marriages and just relationships with your wife I've observed in the business community. Valor and I look up to you and Karen, and you've raised 2 awesome kids, and one of them happened to marry another doctor, and now you've got now you've got this thing called family dynamics inside the business, and you're a leader, and you've got partners. How in the world do you navigate that? Because if you didn't hear that, um, Dr. Rice has 2 doctors. Both of his kids became doctors, and then they married a doctor. One of them married a doctor. How do you navigate that? That's got to be tough.
It isn't tough, and kind of interesting. So my original partner, Dr. Lindhern, and his daughter, Mitzi, is an
That's
optometrist.
yeah. I forgot to add that.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
when she went to school, she met a young man who became an optometrist, and they married, and so they both are in the practice. Dr.
Mm.
Brad, who's Dr. Herndon's son-in-law,
Yeah.
is a partner,
Yeah.
and people ask all the time. So how did you make your kids become eye doctors? It's like, one, I
I
didn't
would like
make
to know.
them. Number two, we never talked about it. The first time my son is my oldest, we were at the University of Arkansas, and he was trying to decide us on a school, and we were doing an honors college thing, and they go around with a group of like there were 6 kids or something with parents, and it's like so the person that was leading the thing. So what do you want to do?
Mm.
And I'm sitting on one side of Kevin, and my wife is sitting on the other, and they get to Kevin. So I'm going to be an optometrist. I'm like, okay, good to know. So he was probably a little more kind of that's what he wanted to do, but we really didn't talk about it. He worked in the practice some, and then my daughter, when she went to school, she was going to be, she was going to be 5 different things.
Mm.
To her credit, and I was so proud of her because she went and explored that. She was going to be a
Mm.
wedding planner, so she went and kind of did that. She was going to be a florist, and she went to that. She was going to be a sports a athletic trainer. She
Mm.
was going to do all these things, and
And
she
she would
went.
be brilliant at all of those
She
things.
is. She's
She's
just yeah.
one of the
She's
smartest
incredible.
people I've ever met. Yeah.
But one thing I will say, what you said is, I do have an incredible wife. Karen is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Wife and mom. So
Yeah.
that's why my kids
It's
are
true,
awesome.
folks. Yeah.
So,
Hi, Karen.
but anyway,
Love you, Karen.
it's certainly something that is not normal.
Mm.
And in the eye care world, it is not uncommon for children to be, following the parents' footsteps because it's
Mm.
a great profession. Uptime is a great profession because it's healthcare, and you do have those relationships, and you have life outside of the office. And so I think that's really that what it boils down to. But the family dynamics, I think I coached a lot and
Mm.
was a scout leader. So my kids, when they were young, right or wrong, because I just like being a part of things.
Mm.
And I coached them, and I had this conversation with them when they were young. It's like, it kind of sucks to be a coach's kid,
Yeah.
because you have to be better than everybody else and
Yeah.
if you're not, that's how life is.
Yeah.
And so I think that probably plays a little bit of a role.
D-
And then I think the other is just trying to, make sure that everybody's on the same page. Where this all kind of shakes out and ends up, I don't know, but I believe in my goal is to continue the vision clinic in our community and
Mm.
the legacy piece. I'm hoping that, everybody that comes into vision clinic as a doctor
Mm.
has an opportunity to be an owner at some point.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
we're working through what that all looks like.
That's unique in and of itself. I don't know if we have time to dig into that, but
That's a lot to dig into. Yeah.
I'm going to go back. I'm going to say it again. And I
Uh-huh.
was pretty sure that's what this episode would end up being about, but
Uh-oh.
it just came back to values and determination. So I heard, because you're hell bent on that outcome, you're the coach. And so you're holding everybody to a higher standard, but man, I wouldn't want to be Kevin or Stephanie in that, in that world.
Probably been tough on them. Yeah.
And they've done an amazing job. I've just admired that happening. I don't know if Jude, Jovi, Anna, or Archer will ever want to be in the consulting and business and advertising business, but I've learned from you already on that. And but that if you just had this, oh, I'm the guy and I'm the, I control this practice and I can do what I want. That's not how it's happened. And you've held them to a higher standard as you have everybody else. So values, people, my friends, values. Get close on what is right. Get very comfortable talking about that, what your standards are. And I think if they were sitting here, and actually we'll probably follow up with them on this, and maybe we'll have them on the podcast someday, but I think they would tell you that they got a sampling of just seeing even through college what, other businesses and what other opportunities were like, and none of them felt as authentic probably as what you've built. And that's not the case for every family business. I did not want to go into either of the family businesses that I had presented to me necessarily. Like, they weren't as attractive. So, not because they weren't great businesses or my parents and grandparents weren't great people. It just, when you have something as cool as you've got, I think would be hard to not want to be a part of it. So,
I do want to, while we're talking about family real quick, I will throw out this. So Brandon is talking about he's an old soul, and he is an old soul, but he is probably one of the best husbands and dads and multitaskers I've ever seen.
well, multitasking's a myth.
No. But he's getting ready to. So they homeschool their kids, and they do an amazing job. And
Valerie does an amazing job.
Valerie does an amazing job. And so you and I, the one thing we have in common, we have a lot of things in common. But one is that we married way above our pay grade.
No doubt about it.
Yeah. But you amaze me in how. I don't know how you keep it all together. I think I'm busy, but holy cow, you are a crazy
Got
man.
you fooled, my friend.
Yeah. But anyway, you're a great. I've seen you, and you are a genuine. You're a genuine man and father and dad, and you should be very proud of that.
Well, thank you for saying that, but
Yeah.
it's only by looking up at the Steve
All right.
Rice
Okay.
at
All
the
right.
Platinum
Moving
Hearts.
Moving on.
For those of you that are still here,
Yeah.
I have a couple final questions.
Uh-oh.
What's your advice to somebody who's, maybe has this seedling of a vision, maybe has their own origin story, but either the pressures of their market or the pressures of their partnership or the pressures of their family or just the industry or whatever, is asking them to compromise on that vision. What would you tell them?
Um, so this is an old guy thing, and sometimes because I am older and my staff of 80,
Mm.
I'll say things and they'll look at it like, "What are you talking about?" But Jiminy Cricket, let your
I'm with you.
conscience be your guide.
Mm.
And I think if you do things for the right reason, rarely will it turn out to be a
Mm.
bad idea.
Mm. Wow. If we do things for the right reason, rarely will it turn out to be a bad idea. Love it. I could end there, but I think this is this is a selfish question. There's two questions. Who has been key to your growth over the years, other than the people we've talked about, like mentors and people? And maybe how did you find them? Or maybe they found you, but who's been influential in upholding you in the way that you have upheld so many others?
Man, I have lots of mentors professionally.
Mm.
Um, Rotary has been an awesome
Mm.
piece of my life because you're surrounded by business owners and managers that are, typically successful.
Yeah.
So I've had lots of good advice and counsel from friends through Rotary.
Mm.
Vision Source, I've been blessed and fortunate to be with industry leaders, not only eye doctors, but some of the, national sales folks
Mm.
from a lot of our material side of things. And, I try to learn from everyone
Mm.
because I think you can learn from everyone.
Yeah.
But I don't know that it'd be, any one person. Um, my wife keeps me grounded. She is just a huge supporter.
Mm.
Um, my partners, I learn things from my partners every
Yeah.
day. So I don't know. I think I try to encourage this for my staff,
Mm.
and that is to be a lifelong learner.
Mm.
And always try to make yourself better today than you were yesterday. And so my mom, again, you go back to your
Mm-hmm.
parents, and
Yeah.
it's just at the core,
Mm.
just stop and think: are we doing this for the right reason?
Wow. Everybody has something to teach you if you'll just let them.
This is true. I believe that.
Yeah. Last thing, any books you would recommend that everybody should read?
Other than the Maven Marketer,
Oh my gosh. Get him his check, would you? Would you get him? You take PayPal?
Venmo.
Yeah.
I love to read. I have to read a lot of industry stuff, so it leaves littler time than I would like to have.
So-
But I like John Maxwell.
Mm.
I think he's a heart guy. I think
Yeah.
leads with
Love Maxwell.
intention.
Yeah.
Right. Jeffrey Gitomer. These are things I like to bring to my staff. Right.
Yeah.
Customer satisfaction is worthless. Customer loyalty is priceless. That's important to us. Right.
Yeah. He's so good at that too.
Yeah.
Gittimer was one of the early guys I read.
Yeah.
When I was getting into business. Yeah.
So things that I like to read are things that that I can take to my staff to make us a better organization. So
It's a very selfless way to look at that, but I'm looking out for where are the voids and where can I encourage and what book titles look like they could, empower people rather than empower me as a leader. That's powerful right there. Maxwell, the first book I ever got, business book, right? Brett Palin handed it to me, and it was the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, and it changed my life. And I think I was 15 or 16 when I read that.
mhm.
Guys, I've said this a lot of times. I think this will go down as the best episode to date. If you are looking to grow a business based on values, and I'm so thankful you were here. Thank you
Thanks
so
for the
much.
opportunity.
Got deep
Hopefully-
there for a minute. We didn't know how
Yeah.
deep we were going to get.
I tend to ramble, so you never know. They call me a verbal processor.
Yeah. If you have any questions, I bet I could get Dr. Rice to answer them. You can send those to mavenmonday@frankandmaven.com. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back here every Monday, taking your real life marketing and business questions and bringing you legendary leaders. Because marketers who can't teach you why,
Just some fancy lie.
just a fancy lie. He did it. We didn't even put him up to that. We didn't even rehearse.
Is that it? Is that the right answer?
That's the one.
Okay, good.
Thank you guys for watching. We'll talk to you next week.